Our other top story tonight, President Joe Biden has agreed in principle to meet Russia's President Vladimir Putin in person as long as Russia holds off on invading Ukraine. U.S. leaders believe there is an imminent threat of assault on Ukraine, and they are urging Vladimir Putin to use diplomacy. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and the Russian foreign minister are set to meet on Thursday in Europe if an invasion does not happen. Meanwhile, many in the Ukrainian community here in Cleveland are worried about their families overseas.
Our Lydia Esparra tells us there are strong ties to Ukraine right here in Northeast Ohio.
Ladies, you're right. There are very strong ties here to Ukraine, and the threat of war is affecting more than just the landscape. They stand in solidarity outside of Saint Josaphat Church in Parma.
I'll pray for peace in Europe and in Ukraine.
Prayers for Ukraine. They've been the target of Russia for years, and these protesters say Crimea being annexed by Putin was another step closer to invading the country.
It's not a civil war, it's not insurrection. This is a war by Russia against Ukraine.
And right now at the capital of Ukraine, a professor from Case Western Reserve University, Roman Shermeta.
And it just happened that it is happening at probably one of the most trying times of Ukrainian independent history.
He was trying to make another sort of history, open up an American university. But the threat of war affects day-to-day living.
So Ukraine is suffering immensely right now economically, and Russia is the aggressor. And Ukraine is paying the price.
And besides that threat of war, there is a psychological aspect going on, says Shermeta. Having to live a life of fear and wait to see if your freedom will be taken away has been challenging for Ukrainians.
You have to understand that this whole fight between Russia and Ukraine is a fight between the two worldviews. One is very authoritarian, very collectivistic. Another one is more democratic.
Back in Cleveland, thousands of miles from Kyiv, prayers and chanting continue, and it will take a miracle to prevent war.
This is not just about Ukraine and Russia. This is Mr. Putin taking a crowbar to the rules of the world.
Now, all are hoping that diplomacy will take over, but an expert I talked to about Ukraine says that's highly unlikely. Now, if you think back to 2014, today makes 8 years. It's the 8-year anniversary when Russia invaded Crimea and annexed that little part of the country of Ukraine. Back to you, ladies.
All right, our community in Northeast Ohio certainly very worried about their families. Thanks so much, Lydia.